Your granddad's been laying wee eggs, rolls up his trousers, shakes them out of the way. So, Transformers games have been a bit inconsistent, From very humble beginnings on the Commodore 64, did someone make this in Microsoft Paint? Whatever the hell this atrocity was on the NES and various shite Beast Wars games, it seemed impossible to capture the essence of what made the Transformers so special on home consoles. But then, seemingly from nowhere, came an absolute masterpiece. A game that understood the magic of the franchise, mixing elements of third person shooters, a stunning sense of scale, and most importantly, incorporating the transformation gimmick as an essential mechanic in both combat and traversal of the game's varied and detailed maps. That game was, of course, Atari's The Transformers for the PS2. What? Did you think I was going to say War for Cybertron because we're looking at Optimus and Megatron today? Always jumping to conclusions, aren't you? I bet you just assume my favourite Star Trek captain is either Kirk or Picard. Wrong. It's Janeway. What I'd give for a couple of hours in the holodeck with her and a few pounds of melted butter. Oh, on you go, Catherine. Explore my Delta Quadrant, you big darling. Although the High Moon Cybertron games didn't quite live up to the magic of that PS2 classic, I mean, you actually fought Unicron at the end of it, they were good games in their own right. Featuring stylised redesigns of your favourite characters, tight gameplay, and a barrel of G1 references for us middle-aged, decaying husks that were born in the 80s. Corporate mega cunts Activision did have to spoil it all with the rushed third game in the series, incorporating Michael Bay designs into the game. The less said about that turd, the better. Let's just pretend it doesn't exist like Metallica do about their best album, Saint Anger. So, how do these designs hold up in toy form today? Let's have a look at Studio Series Gamer Edition, Optimus and Megatron. Let's start with Optimus. Jesus, someone's been working out with Dwayne the Rock Lord Johnson. When you think of gamers, you probably imagine a wee guy covered in acne, fingers filthy with what's it dust, surrounded by empty cans of Monster and several ruined, crusty, stiff socks. That's definitely not Gamer Prime though. This is the most swole father figure since Arnold Schwarzenegger starred in the 80s comedy smash Commando. What an absolute beefcake! This robot mode is a thing of beauty and would make Vince McMahon fill his pants to the brim with Grandagoo. You can still easily tell that this is Optimus Prime, although his wee head does feel a bit small atop his bulging truck cleavage, gorilla arms and tree trunk legs. I'm not really complaining. I love this look. It really makes me think of a powered up G1 Prime ready to rip Megatron's Robocock right aff at the Roboroot. Everything you'd expect from a G1 Prime is here, but injected with more human growth hormone than the British Bulldog and the Ultimate Warrior took in the 80s. The colours are spot on, with his typical red top, grey pants and blue bottoms. His smokestacks are weirdly on his calves, so any fumes coming from them would blow straight up at Prime's tiny head. At least he's wearing some decent PPE with his faceplate mask thing. The only thing worth complaining about here is that Prime is as hollow as the promise that you made to your girlfriend that you'd stop buying Transformers figures. It's not too bad, but it does make Prime feel less of a premium figure and more like a shite knockoff you get from a dodgy stall down the Barras. That being said, articulation is pretty spot on with Swole Prime, meaning he can easily pull off all of Hulk Hogan's signature poses. Prime comes with a sweet massive axe and a gun with no handle. To emulate the style of the games, you're going to need to rip Prime's swole forearm off and plug this into the stump. It's alright, I suppose, but why couldn't there just have been a 5mm peg on here so Prime didn't have to be dismembered every time he wanted to shoot something? Don't worry though, When Prime isn't using his forearm, you can plug it right into his little arsehole, like one of those butt plugs with the tails them filthy internet girls like. Transformation is an intuitive and fun wee process. I especially like how Prime's shoulders extend in rails so he can look like Studio Series 86 Ultra Magnus. What a wido, mate! When you're done, you're left with this wee Cybertronian truck tank thing. It's pretty sweet. It comes across like a 1950s style hot rod gangster car, but bigger and with no gangsters. I love it. It looks like it'd be an armoured beast of a thing that would have no trouble deflecting Decepticon laser blasts. Well, until you get to the back. Oh dear, you are one panel away from being awesome, Optimus. Why are his hands just hanging out here? The worst thing is that you spend most of the game looking at the back of this, so you'd think the gamer version would do its best to replicate that. Nope, there's just a dirty great big hole where you can see all of Prime's insides. The dirty wee bitch. From any other angle though, the alt mode does look pretty sweet. If I were to rate him out of 10, just like I never usually do, Optimus would get a solid 8. Let's move on to Megatron. At a glance, he looks spot on to his in-game model, but the more you look, the more annoying wee details pop out. Chief amongst these is his fusion cannon. In the game, this was a glowing, pulsating thing, just seething with energy, like an engorged mechanical Jimmy, just ready to pop at any minute. Here though, it's just a bit of black pipe, like the guttering on the side of your house. Some improved sculpted detail and a wee bit of paint would have gone a long way here. Like Prime, Megatron's grimacing bucket head also is comparatively small atop his long spindly body. Megatron definitely doesn't have the same swole physique as Prime. Instead, he's gangly, with a tiny waist and elongated limbs. He's like a robot version of that thing from the end of Wreck. I actually quite enjoy this design, and Megatron looks great alongside fellow creepy bastard Tarn. I also really like the colour scheme on Megatron, with his asymmetric reds, metallic greys, and subtle purple accents. Problems start to arise when you try and pose Megatron. For some unfathomable reason, Hasbro decided to put these wee pokey bits on the back of Megatron's knees, meaning he can only bend his legs this much. Shite. I've seen folk just cut these bits right off, but I prefer just to untransform them a wee bit. Then you get some good bendy leg action and decent posability. Along with his shite fusion cannon, Megatron comes with this excellently painted and sculpted Energon mace. The only problem is, he can only hold it at the very tippy tip of this long shaft. He should be able to work this long purple-tipped smasher with 2 hands. Shite. Transformation on Megatron is a clever wee process of turning his arms 90 degrees to his front and back, then closing up the whole thing with his clamshell legs. When you're done, you're left with this wee hover tank thing. If you've never played the games, you're probably like, what in the name of Peter Cullen's fabulous moustache is this? But the alt mode is pretty much dead on. I've heard a lot of folk bitching about this alt mode, like a group of wee old women gossiping about how shite their pal Janice's rhubarb crumble was. I think it's not bad though. It's pretty much what it's meant to be. So as the mad shagger gangland Richard Madeley used to say, don't hate the player, hate the game. Man, Judy was a wee hottie back in the day. If I were to give Megatron a score out of 10, it would be lower than Prime. Maybe a light 7 or a strong 6. He's definitely better than the bloody siege mold that just will not die. Please, Hasbro, give us a new G1 Megatron. I don't care about the gun mode, just as long as it's not this piece of shite again. No matter how many times you repaint it, you cannot polish a turd. Whilst we're here, we might as well take a look at gamer Bumblebee. As the Chuckle Brothers used to say, oh dear, our little yellow fella is simultaneously fat and hollow. Bumblebee is an embodiment of an oxymoron. His head sculpt is admittedly amazing, capturing the jolly little fella's innocent horned round face. I just want to squeeze his wee cheeks. His legs though, they look like he's been taken hostage by Kathy Bates. What's going on with these things? He's got an ankle tilt but in the wrong direction. and the sides of the legs are just a mess. They look cleaner back to front. You can resolve these issues by turning his waist 180 degrees, giving Bumblebee more functional and aesthetically pleasing pins. But now his crotch shows an unsightly hollow gap where his wee Jimmy would be. I don't want to see his downstairs mix-up. He's got a beegina. I'm Bumble Greg! Bumblebee's accessories also annoy me greatly. He comes with a shite sword and these two guns. Just like Prime, you have to remove Bumblebee's arm to plug these in. Both the guns look proper pish in use. You can combine them, kind of, using the blast effects nubbin on the chunky one. This looks better, but it's still awful shite. Transformation on Bumblebee is extremely frustrating. His kibble backpack falls off all the time, along with his arms and shoulder pads. There's an essential transformation step where you have to tuck his waist under this bit in his back, but there's always sweet fuck all clearance. You always end up popping at least one bit of him off. It feels like you're trying to manoeuvre a month-old corpse left in a pool of stagnant, totally filled water. When you're done, you do get this lovely wee alt mode. This wee thing is small, cute and chunky, just like Bumblebee should be. Is it worth the pain of going through that transformation? It's a fine representation of what it's meant to be, Bumblebee's Cybertronian alt mode, but we've also got Origin Bumblebee for that. Despite his excessive kibble, Origin Bumblebee is so much more fun to handle and transform than the Gamer Edition. Plus, Origin B's alt mode is absolutely top tier, one of my absolute favourites in my collection. The Gamer Edition doesn't quite reach that level of perfection. Plus, it looks like a novelty computer mouse. Quite fitting because it's the Gamer Edition, isn't it? Because we're doing ratings on this one episode, I'd give Bumblebee a 4 out of 10. In both modes, he looks decent, but as soon as you start to handle him, overall, I'm worried about the future of the Gamer Editions. I've heard Barricade is even worse than Bumblebee, and just look at this upcoming Starscream. Why does his cockpit look like a filthy maggot's fat wee body? Plus it's made from squishy plastic, like a Haribo. If this is the standard for the War for Cybertron games, I don't think I'll be picking up any more Gamer Editions anytime soon. What's that? A new Optimus Prime from Transformers Reactivate? Holy shit, that looks amazing. I guess I'll give Gamer Editions just one more chance. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Catch you later.